Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. On my most recent video, I did a brief overview of Peni Parker and why I think she is a very good champ in this game. And I did mention that I've been messing around with some team possibilities. I came up with this team of 5 that I think I'm going to test out in the next story content that comes out, or maybe in the side quest for the next month. It consists of Penny, Falcon, Miles, Mysterio, and Spider-Man 2099. So you can kind of call them all by their first name. Like we've got Penny and Sam, Miles, Quentin, and Miguel. I don't know. It just sounds like a cool group of people, right? But the reason that this team works is it really covers a lot of interesting bases. You've got some immunities, you've got some power control, heal block, unblockable countering, evade countering, ability accuracy, just kind of a whole slew of abilities. And before I break down this team a little bit, I will just say a little bit of a caveat. You know, if this team existed when Act 6 came out, I think it would be even more valuable because back then there was a lot more RPG knowledge that was needed to counter specific lanes. Like you may see a lane where you literally need all of those things in one lane to get through it and then tackle the boss. But nowadays, Kabam is kind of streamlining the content so that the lanes have a certain identity and they even will benefit just, one champ. So you kind of just bring one champ to clear and then a couple backup champs or synergy pieces. So I do kind of miss those old days when you really had to kind of rack your brain to make good teams. And that was kind of back when we saw like those Killmonger and Sabretooth and Winter Soldier and Void type teams where you just had like all this utility wrapped into one team plus damage, and it was really fun. So again, this is more than likely going to be like for the side quest, for a Cavi Q, for 7.4 and things like that. If I can fit a piece of this team or this actual team, it could do some really interesting things. So let's get right into it. First, we have the Falcon synergy. So Falcon is going to be your champion that covers evade countering on most cases. If their ability accuracy is a problem, I have a whole video on that and why he doesn't counter every type of evade. But 9 times out of 10, he's a good evade counter, and stuff like auto block and Electro and other annoying champs that are science champions usually, he's a really good counter for the ability accuracy. And Peni Parker gives him 1 extra second of locked on. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider the Awakened one already gets 2 seconds, he gets a bonus against science champions, and then you add this 1 second, you can almost guarantee you're going to get to your special 2 during the first cycle of locked on, which unleashes a lot of damage and makes it a little bit easier to idle in between them if you know that you're going to get a special 2 off every time you have a locked on cycle. So I do think that's quite valuable. And we'll talk about Peni Parker's abilities a little bit later, but you do see that she gets the stun immunity. So that's Falcon's purpose on this team. Moving to Miles Morales. He is an interesting champ. He kind of reminds me of Proxima Midnight, where he has all these missions that he needs to complete to unlock damage. But unlike Proxima, he has the ability to do that in whatever order you want. You don't have to land intercepts. You can just land hits and let it eventually come around. If you want to pay attention to all the meters and everything, you can try to get all the Furies at the same time. But he's there to basically have a little bit of good damage, have debuffs. Like I think he has a taunt and rupture, kind of like Spider-Man 2099 has the ruptures. And then additionally, he has the unblockable countering, which is really the reason he's on this team. There just seems to be a lot of unblockable in the game. And the thing that he gets is from this, it says that each spider sense grants plus 4% attack rating and plus 4% personal debuff duration and ability accuracy. So he's basically just getting better by the synergy, and he gets some other benefits from this team. In addition to that, we're also seeing that his spider challenges are going to be slightly easier to complete. I think they're 20% faster, so instead of 50 hits, it's 40 hits, for example. And additionally, he has this one that Spider Sense charges grant 5% attack rating each with Mysterio. So all the synergies going back toward Miles Morales here is making him hit harder, just making him a better champ overall, so that if you're only bringing him for that niche unblockable countering, he can actually do a couple other things. Next up, we have Mysterio. And looking here, don't mind that bike in the background. So yeah, Peni Parker, while it is active, Penny can trigger the parry mastery against non-contact hits. We'll get to that a little later, but the big one for Mysterio is chemical gas is not consumed when inflicting poison with a heavy attack. This almost makes him like Cable Light when Cable is running with Apocalypse, because you can just spam heavies and get like 3 poisons at a time very easily. If you combine that with the gas off of his special 3, he can be doing an insane amount of damage. I mean, if you stack some of those poisons with the attack passive on you, it's going to be ticking for a ton. And you know, the biggest problem with Mysterio that most people had was you always had to sacrifice the poison damage if you wanted to access the rest of his utility. Now you can just spam the heavies and then, you know, use your gas for whatever you want, for the power drain, for the you know, for the damage back, or for the big attack bonus, and then build them right back up, and then you can just keep spamming your poisons. It just makes him a better champ overall. I have a rank 3 one, so I'm pretty excited to get into him and how this is all going to work. Let's look at some other things going on here. So we have Spider-Man 2099. He's got this synergy again with Miles Morales. The reason that he is on the team is just his unique kit. Like, he doesn't proc buffs. He has the Wither debuff. He has lots of debuffs, big red damage with the ruptures. He even has a slow on the special 3, and he can just do a lot. I really enjoy playing him. He's tanky. He's a really good just in general, like, lane clearing champion for me. Anytime there's like a power snack or buffet type situation, he's the perfect counter. Mojos, you know, things like that, mystic countering in general. So that's why he's on the team. And you can see this synergy here, it gives him a 100% chance to evade the first time he is struck in a fight, which is kind of interesting. I do like that synergy. It sort of is like the Nick Fury and Quake synergy that people used to use. It just gives you one freebie, which I kind of like to see stuff like that. And then additionally, you can see that Miles Morales will gain an unstoppable passive for 1 second after an evade triggers. That's not super useful because you're not usually triggering evades with Miles Morales, but again, it just kind of gives you another, you know, another little safety net, which isn't so bad. And then going back to Penny and the benefits that she gets, we already mentioned that she becomes stun immune when Sync Shield is active, which is, you know, realistically, that's most of the fight. It does have a 20-second cooldown, but you can play around that by trying to not block too much and keep that Sync Shield up. Any kind of encroaching stun or anything like that, it's really nice to have that. If you're going up against Apocalypse and you accidentally take a light, you're stun immune. So yeah, really good stuff right there. Additionally, with Miles, this is really important for her. You'll see that she starts with 4 Spider Sense charges. It just means the ramp up is going to be a little bit easier. It might mean you only have to throw 1 special 1 before building to her big special 2 instead of throwing 2. It just, you know, more Spider Sense charges is better. So we like that. And then additionally, with Mysterio, I briefly mentioned this, but when the Sync Shield is active, again, that happens a lot of the fight, she can trigger the parry mastery against non-contact hits. This is the ability that makes Guardian and Angela so good. I wouldn't necessarily use it against Havoc because he's Incinerate immune with Penny and stuff, but certainly a champion like Professor X, this can come in handy. You can just parry those lights and it's not a problem. And then another champ that comes to mind is actually Ebony Maw, because she's not really proccing any buffs on herself and she can control power. And additionally, if you can get in those parries so that you can throw your heavies to get his focus timer off, it can be a really, really good time for her. Now there's some other champions here that we may want to consider subbing in. Let's see, we also have Spider-Ham. So let's say we throw in Spider-Ham instead of Spider-Man 2099. What that will do, let's say you don't need Spider-Man 2099 for some reason, like you don't need Wither or like buff immunity or anything, then, you know, here you have a Power Sting champion, somebody that can do some really interesting things. I know a lot of people like Spider-Ham, but additionally, you get this really cool synergy for Miles Morales. Here it is, where completing a spider challenge grants a Fury passive, granting 20% attack for over 16 seconds. So that's actually quite huge for Miles Morales. If you're going to be running Miles as your main clearer, I would highly recommend using this because it really just adds to the damage of Miles Morales. Additionally, if we throw Spider-Man 2099 back into the mix, I just want to briefly showcase, I don't have her as a 5-star, believe it or not, but we have the synergy with Spider-Gwen, which if you put her in instead of Miles, let's say, so just imagine that Miles is out and Spider-Gwen is in, then Penny gets the same benefits, and additionally I think Spider-Man 2099 gets the same benefit that would be from the Miles synergy, so that's why she slots in so nicely there. But additionally you will see that for Spider-Gwen herself, she starts with 4 Spider-Sense charges, which is really going to supercharge her damage and make her just an even more amazing champ that needs less ramp up. So those are the options. I'd be interested to hear what you think about this team. I'm definitely going to try it in next month's side quest. Who knows? It may work. Like I said, there are some immunities on this team. We've got poison and incinerate. Someone like Falcon can take on stuff like hazard shift or any kind of like contact debuffs that will be coming towards you, biohazard, things like that. And then Mysterio also has poison immunity, ability to not have ability accuracy reduction on Mysterio, so you have a domino counter right there. It just seems like a really wide variety of abilities that one team can really be taking on for you. With Peni Parker, I'm just thinking of this stuff off the cuff here. Like with Peni Parker, you have a Nick Fury counter with the heal block. You have like MODOK countering with Falcon. It just goes on and on and on. And I'm pretty excited to try out this team, just like take them in blindly to a quest and see how they do. So anyway, thanks for listening to me talk about this synergy team. I'm excited to try it out. Being a big Spider-Verse fan myself, we've got like all these different universe Spider-Man characters coming together, plus Falcon along for the ride, and should be a fun team to test. So again, thanks for checking it out, and I will catch you guys in the next one.